Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Pound, and we have been studying Chapter 5 on genetics from BJU Biology's 4th edition. We've been taking a look at Section 5A on genes, chromosomes, and cell division, and we've already talked about genes and chromosomes, so we're moving on to cell division from subsection 5.2. So, our objectives today are to list the phases of the cell cycle, describe the G1S and G2 phases of interphase, list the stages of mitosis and the major changes in each, and describe how cytokinesis in plant cells differs from that in human and animal cells. So, let's begin by talking about the cell cycle. The cell cycle is the repeating cycle of events in the life of a cell. There are three major phases: interphase, mitosis, and cytokinesis. The first part, interphase, is the period of time between cellular divisions. And so this is the cell cycle. So this is interphase, and there is mitosis with cytokinesis there at the end that's not even really labeled. It is the longest period of time in the life cycle of a cell. As we can see, that orange strip is the longest. It contains the G1 phase, which G stands for gap. And this is where cell growth takes place. There is the S phase, standing for synthesis, where there is DNA replication. So the DNA makes copies of itself. Now, at this point, the DNA is still not visible. Okay, it's still not visible. And there is the G2 phase. This is where the cell prepares the materials it will need for mitosis. Mitosis is the duplicating and separating of a cell's chromosomes. Go ahead and label your diagram in your notes with the different phases. They are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase is the first phase of mitosis, like a prologue in a book. When you have PRO, it basically means the beginning. The centrosomes migrate to opposite poles of the nucleus. These are the centrosomes right here. The mitotic spindle forms. These are special microtubules that will direct the movements of the chromosomes during mitosis. So you can see that mitotic spindle, sometimes also called the spindle fibers, okay, forming there and connecting to the centrosomes. The chromosomes begin to coil in the nucleus. This is when we actually see them appearing, is during prophase. And remember, the centromeres here are where they attach. And the interesting thing is the centromeres are present even when they're uncoiled. You just can't see them. So that's kind of an interesting fact. Metaphase is the second phase of mitosis. So metaphase right here. This is when sister chromatids are at the center of the spindle. So I like to say they're in the middle. Metaphase, middle. The third phase is anaphase. And here we can see anaphase occurring. During anaphase, enzymes break down the centromeres, allowing the sister chromatids to separate. Okay, so the sister chromatids are separating, they're going to their opposite ends. They're going away from each other. Anaphase away, right? Metaphase middle, anaphase away. And then there is telophase, the final phase of mitosis. This is where the chromosomes have reached opposite poles of the cell and two distinct nuclei form. And you can see here the chromosomes are starting to uncoil. So they uncoil. Now, the last phase of the cell cycle, not part of mitosis, okay, part of the cell cycle, not part of mitosis, is cytokinesis. This is the division of the cytoplasm in the dividing cell. And cytokinesis can actually start before mitosis is completely done. And we can see here in these animal cells that cytokinesis is taking place, and the Cell membrane is pinching together and closing off the cytoplasm, and you can tell that two cells are going to form here. This process is different in plant cells. In plant cells, something called the cell plate forms. This is the precursor to the cell wall during cytokinesis in plant cells. And the cell plate actually forms in the middle and goes outward. So, quite a different process from plants and animals, where the plants have a cell plate that forms in the middle and grows outward. And in animal cells and in human cells, the cell membrane pinches closed from the outsides. So, the results of mitosis are reproduction, growth, and repair. And so you can see here, this is how a baby's hand grows into a teenager's hand, a child, a teenager's hand, and then an adult hand. And it's through the process of mitosis. That's growth. Also, if you were to get a cut or anything, mitosis takes care of the repair. Um, uh, Different cells take different lengths of time for cell division. For instance, if you get a cut on your hand, it will repair very quickly. Mitosis happens relatively quickly, probably be done in about a week or less. Okay. But if you break a bone, that can take a lot longer. Also, mitosis in, say, a fetus is going to happen much more rapidly than in an adult. Also, bacterial cells, mitosis happens much faster in them than, say, plant or animal cells. So it depends upon the type of the cell, where it is, all kinds of factors like that, the age of the organism, how quickly mitosis takes place. Now I want to focus on the reproduction part. Mitosis takes place in asexual reproduction. This is the production of a new organism without the fusion of a sperm and an ovum, and it involves only mitotic cell divisions. Remember, because it's mitosis, and in mitosis, the cells are identical to the parent cell that they came from, all the cells are going to be identical. So the offspring are also identical. So, some types of asexual reproduction are fragmentation. This is a form of reproduction caused by the breaking of a colonial organism by a physical disturbance. A simple colony breaks into two or more fragments, permitting additional mitotic cell division to replace missing cells, resulting in asexual reproduction. So, some examples are algae, fungi, and bacteria. You can see this algae is broken into three fragments and it starts to grow into three new algae colonies, okay, or algal colonies. So, fragmentation, just break it up and it starts to grow. Uh, some higher organisms show something similar to this as well. Like planaria, if you cut them in half, they will start to grow two different flatworms. So, um, kind of interesting as well. There's also budding. This is a type of asexual reproduction in which portions from the parent organism or unicellular organism, such as fungi, form a new individual. Some multicellular organisms produce a large number of cells in a certain area, which results in a new individual on the side of the parent. That's what happens with yeast. Right here, you can see a bud forming on the side of the yeast. So that's what a bud looks like. And some examples are hydra. This is a hydra, and you can see right there a bud forming on the hydra. Here is the parent. And also, strawberries do something similar as well because they send out runners and they will form new plants through the runners. So, our objectives were to list the phases of the cell cycle, describe the G1S and G2 phases of interphase, list the stages of mitosis and the major changes in each, and describe how cytokinesis in plant cells differs from that in human and animal cells. So, don't forget your 5 questions in your notes and to keep watching this video to answer the questions at the end.